Podcast episode 2. I'm Eric. I'm joined with Ravi. Our third partner is incommunicado today, so we're going to have to go without him for a little while, but not too terribly big of a deal. How are you, sir?
I am doing incredibly well.
Excellent.
I am in sunny California, so I don't really have any storms on the horizon, unlike you.
Yeah, Detroit's getting, we're going to get it today, so that's all right, though. Much like the cryptocurrency markets have taken a massive dump over the last week or so. Our last podcast that we did was one day before the market tanked, and it resurged a little bit. And what I'm looking at right now is Bitcoin at just over 10,000, Ethereum just under 1,000, Litecoin at about 176, give or take, but mostly down. And kind of have to put people, make sure that they're careful with themselves for a lot of these investors from what I've seen that dump a lot of credit card money into this stuff can be very dangerous for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are value-driven assets, and just driving more of your debt to acquire them isn't really a smart choice right now.
And it begs the question of, not that there's a right way or a wrong way to do this, but for people that are swing trading versus hodling, what is the efficiency of that, particularly right now, because it's the time to buy. Bitcoin with slower transaction processing time can make things a little bit difficult. And if this has an overnight jump, who knows what the American government shutdown is going to do to this, or if the Korean exchanges are going to start opening back up, or less regulation, who knows? But it's going to be crazy with the way that swing traders try to operate this.
Right. I mean, I guess this whole storm introduction is actually a pretty good metaphor here, where we are in the midst of a lot of different elements that are influencing the markets right now. Not the best press right now. New York Times Magazine is publishing articles. The newspaper. There's just a lot of stuff, not a very good time. And then plus you have, your social media saturation with the eccentric Bitcoin millionaire on everybody's newsfeed. So that doesn't exactly make it seem like a top-notch, valuable thing to get into. It kind of seems like a get-rich-quick scheme.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I think that negative press is coming from these, what are perceived as overnight millionaires, and in some cases they're absolutely not. It can really do bad things to the market, because if you're convincing people that are going to jump in at high volume of money, of fiat currency, no matter where they're from, because they saw some overnight millionaire thing, and then they're either undereducated or they're not really all in, so to speak, start making some bad trades, they make bad dumps, they sell at the wrong time, and it kind of shakes the market. Since it's decentralized, there's nobody to come in and say, stop, you guys need to calm down for the day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty and the beast of this decentralized system, right? We have any little thing that can kind of spread like wildfire across the system can really have detrimental effects to the values of what's happening. I did see a cool article, I don't know if you were on CoinDesk today, about Facebook. And this writer, Michael Casey, he wrote a nice speculation of about Facebook's cryptocurrency, that what it might look like, what it might be like, and just kind of speculating based off of their old ideas for exchanging value on a social media platform.
Well, that's a good example of driving the industry in a direction it probably wasn't going to go.
Yeah. He does mention in the article that, briefly after, I think it was Zuckerberg that just did a little tweet about, decentralizing the social media so that, let's see if I can find the quote here. Oh yeah, here we are. So Casey wrote, "It remains to be seen whether it's this in favor of, quote, meaningful social interactions, end quote, over higher traffical content. As Zuckerberg said, quote, good for our community and our business over the long term, end quote. And then he proceeds to talk about how Facebook shares fell 4.5% shortly after that that little announcement by Zuckerberg.
Well, people are already leery of social media in general. As we touched on last week, part of it is that echo chamber effect and how soapboxy it has become. And if you couple that with something that is very open about its data mining, and they don't hide the fact that they're taking and aggregating all of this data to people, using your webcam, using your microphones to listen in on what you're doing when you don't think you're being monitored. And you couple that with really where the application to me would come into play is what kind of the future of advertising, with Facebook already saying, look, we're data mining you. We'll skip all the advertisements if you agree to let us dig deeper and start using some of your processing power out of your web browser to mine cryptocurrency, to complete blockchains and do all that sort of stuff.
Right, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. If they were just a little more open about what was going on and allowing people to willingly participate in this, like, I think Facebook wouldn't have they wouldn't have the problems that they're trying to address right now. All this negative connotation with what we talked about, this echo chamber effect and their mining of data from users. It kind of seems like they were just violating everyone who was unwittingly having this done to them. So negative stuff happening all around. But you know what? This downturn for the markets, I think, is a positive thing, because we can actually start getting back into buying. Some of this stuff was like just really, price was nearly double just a few weeks ago for Bitcoin. So I am excited.
Yeah, it's a great time to buy, and you bring up the good point that there are positives to be taken out of anything, particularly this. And you're looking at a market that's still massively ahead of where it was last year, almost incomprehensibly so. You don't see annual increases like that ever in any market.
Yeah.
It is unreal, almost. Just irresponsibly positive. And you're also looking at a lot of companies that were getting these massive gains based off of news of partnerships. Ripple comes to mind, and all this functionality that still isn't out there yet. You look at something, my friend and I were talking yesterday about, like Electronium, and their currency has sort of floundered a little bit in this, but not terribly so. They don't even have their platform out yet. Their miner isn't even active. So when you're talking about tanking a little bit, there are a lot of positive caveats to be taken out of it, and the industry in and of itself is still crawling.
Right. And, there's, again, going back towards the press's influence, there's some articles out there floating around about the SEC cracking down this year. So, with the massive, I like how you put this, irresponsible amount of growth last year. It's kind of refreshing to hear that maybe the ICOs will die down a little bit. We're not going to have, hundreds and hundreds of people, everyone who has an idea, publish a white paper and start taking people's money. So hopefully we'll get
any market more. With the flood of ICOs, you're looking at the same concept being done slightly differently, and the cream will rise to the top. And admittedly, some of the ICOs were complete bullshit anyway. Some of them were Ponzi-esque schemes. You do see in the news every now and again that somebody made off with, $2.5 million or whatever, however much Ethereum they made off with, or claiming that they were going to do something and then bailing on it. So maybe it is a good thing that we're washing some of this away. And some of the more positive posts you see on social media at the moment about cryptocurrency are about getting rid of some of those flash investors that come in real hot in the pan, because it is kind of easy if you've got enough money and you're willing to gamble it to try and manipulate the market. Pump $30,000 into a low-value coin and see it raise up quickly. A little bit of media interaction, and then you jump ship, and all these other people that have bought in then lose their money. It might be good to get some of that out of the way. Yeah,
exactly. There's just too many people who are I suppose they're just social media and marketing proficient, and you could just throw a few $1,000s and then start pumping on your Facebook, and you start tweeting about this stuff and whatever, and you'll get a few hundred adopters to come in at double the price that you got in at, and then you can dump it and bounce. It's just not a good thing for real adoption and driving this decentralized technology into mass adoption so that everyone could really get involved.
Well, yeah, and I guess I want to shift gears just a little bit here to something else. It's like what we're talking about, but you look at what happened with NVIDIA over the last week, who are coming out publicly and saying that the price of GPUs are gouged horribly because of the amount of crypto miners that are taking it in. So you're looking at outside of this sphere, this bubble that we found ourselves in. It's starting to seriously affect other things. You've got a major player in computing and computer hardware having serious problems and price gouging of components because crypto miners are buying them hundreds at a time.
Yeah, well, I suppose for NVIDIA, that's kind of a good problem to have. But on the actual adoption side, bad problem, right? When the gold rush was happening, if it cost you, a whole troy ounce of gold just to get a shovel and a pick, not going to help you mine gold very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, it's good, I guess, the thing to me that strikes me about the NVIDIA issue, and it's kind of the same thing with when you're looking at South Korea's regulation news and what China wants to do with regulation and just all these governments and countries that are either saying yes or no. It's getting the idea out, it's spreading the concept, and realistically, the bigger this net gets spread, the more good minds are going to get caught up in it. And regulation, while fundamentally against what a decentralized ledger is supposed to be for, there's got to be some point where this stops being the complete Wild West, where there are no laws whatsoever, that there's nothing that can be done about it. Because you are looking at, like you pointed out, these shotgun millionaires who are coming in, investing 50 grand on a gamble and coming out on top with, $10 million. We do need to find a way to make this a little bit more stable.
Yeah, I agree. I am glad that now we're getting a lot of interaction and just at least recognition from governments. Before it was just completely insane. Nobody, they wouldn't even recognize Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies as, an actual currency or exchange of value or storage of value or a technology, really. So seeing that over the past year and a half is actually refreshing. At least the ball is moving. It might not be in the favor of decentralized technology, but it is happening.
Yeah, and just, I'm taking a quick look here at some news and just some of the big names that I'm looking at right here. Morgan Stanley joins Goldman Sachs, in clearing Bitcoin futures. So we're looking at big names in banking and big names in sales. You're looking at a lot of casinos and gambling are getting really interested in this technology because it's helping. Swiss Federal Administration is establishing an ICO working group for blockchain development. So this stuff is moving in the direction that we need it to go if we want to see this become a stable competitor for fiat currency, as some people want, and also the application of the technology itself, which, like we touched on earlier, isn't really necessarily there in a lot of instances.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting as adoption increases and more. I mean, there's things that it just seems so perfect for, like decentralized political movements. Maybe exchanging value between the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a decentralized movement. There's no central leader or anything of this, and perhaps the Los Angeles chapter needs to share something for an event with the Chicago chapter. They can transmit value a lot easier. So I think when we start seeing political organizations or just human rights organizations, environmental organizations start using these technologies as well, you're going to have a lot more good and a lot more positive feedback in the press, at least.
Yeah, it gives people an opportunity to invest their time, interest, and sometimes their money in something that isn't as traditional, which I think can only help moving forward. Not that we're giving any investment advice, but if you're fed up with the way that the fiat system seems to feed into the existingly wealthy, then this might be a very good opportunity for you to try and get in and do something that can be at times a little bit more risky and a little bit jumpier. But it makes some people comfortable, and realistically, there's a market for everybody in the globe because this is a global technology and not just beholden to one country. So it might have that opportunity to start breaking apart the existing infrastructure.
Yes, absolutely. And again, not investing advice, but it's also fun. You get to set up wallets and send some tokens to your friends. It's a lot of fun. I like it.
It does give you an interesting look at exactly how much people know or don't know about what their own investments are doing. When you talk to people about this, and if you're listening and you want to share your experiences in the comments, I think we'd love to hear about it. But when you're talking to somebody about cryptocurrency and what it is and what it does and what the blockchain is, you sometimes glean a good insight into some people that just say, I don't know, I make X amount of money and I'm told to invest Y amount of my income, and I just give it to some guy and he does it. I don't know how it works. I don't understand stocks anyway. But
right, I know.
Into the concept, they can be critical of it. You never know.
Yeah, it's so true. I was just speaking with someone the other day, and they didn't understand, intrinsic value and the backing of fiat currency. So it was kind of it really flicked a light on in their head. They were like, oh gosh, like it was a stunning realization when they thought that the money in their wallet was equal to some type of value of gold, or it was backed by a value of gold. And when I pointed out that's not the case at the moment, they were just completely taken aback. So it is.
You're 100% right. So I guess that's a pretty reasonable place for us to button this up for the day. So if you're listening to this, give us some examples of what your crypto experiences are with people that don't know, or I suppose the term is non-coiners. What is your experience with that? Where are you at in the sphere? Even if you don't know much, what have you done to talk to some people? So thank you guys for listening. I am Eric with Ravi. We'll be back next week with more topics. Check out the rest of our videos, interviews, news, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you have not already.